My name is Orlando Vidal with Cold Chain Technologies. Here with my peer,
I'm Ron Rochella.
We're going to speak to you today about some of the issues that you might find in your cold chain packaging as far as holding temperature when you're doing testing, some of the common faults that cause excursions in your packaging. So we're going to review these pretty quickly with you, short time. So thank you for joining us. Ron?
Yeah, listen, we travel the U.S. visiting pharmacies every single week. And the one area that is tough for pharmacies to really comply with is testing for UROC or ACHC. And so we find a number of things that we can actually discuss today that may help you become successful in that area. The first one is going to be conditioning of gel packs. The other one would be bubble wrap, the size. And then the third one is we find that a lot of customers don't even put a payload inside the payload box. So we can discuss these today.
So as Ron was saying, there's common failures in pack-out, and a lot of them can be avoided simply by following the correct pack-out document and adhering to the schematic that we're providing for you in that pack-out. For instance, anything that you buy, purchase commercially, even furniture, there's an instruction booklet for that. And we've all found that I don't need the instructions yields something that doesn't assemble properly and leftover parts. Similar to that, adhering to the pack-out schematic provided by Cold Chain Technologies for your hot weather, cold weather, and moderate pack out is essential to the success of your cold chain shipments. Ron, tell us about gel pack conditioning. What does that mean?
Yeah, gel pack conditioning is actually the opportunity to freeze them, refrigerate them, and then use them in the pack outs. And so what we do is we find a consistent problem with frozen gel packs in general. A lot of people will freeze these at -20, and then they'll pull them right out of the freezer and put them right into the coolers for their pack outs. They fail to actually set them out and secondarily condition them to about -3 Celsius before they put them into the coolers.
So essentially what's happening is when you're doing your pack out, you should follow all the conditions that are provided to you by Cold Chain Technologies. Gel packs are frozen solid at -20. Why do they have to come up to temperature to 5C, 0 to -5C? Is because we need them to be charged to be able to provide energy. The energy that's being provided is kinetic, meaning potential. And in order to measure that potential energy, we've provided you with the qualification documents, which says freeze, and then secondary condition would be thaw until they reach 0 to -5. The other thing that we want to warn everybody about is bubble wrap. Bubble wrap is not the same. There's 3-4 different types of bubble wrap. The stuff that you see with jewelry, that's to protect jewelry. That's not an insulating layer that works in Cold Chain Technologies in our packaging. Then there's a 1/2-inch bubble. It's not the height, it's the diameter of the bubble, which using that bubble is okay, but it does limit the amount of payload or medications you can put into a cooler box when using the cold chain products. Our recommendation is 5/16 bubble. 5/16 bubble is what you should be using in your pack outs to maximize the duration of that pack out. Bubble wrap acts as an insulator. You can touch on that, Ron?
Yeah, so a lot of people really don't think that bubble wrap's that important, but it really is. It is a thermal insulator, and it actually separates the payload from being set upon frozen gel packs. And so that's going to keep it from being frozen or dipping below the 2C line.
So the schematics that we provide for you in all the pack outs provided by Cold Chain Technologies have been tested, proven. We've changed the diagrams to be a picture diagram, and sequentially following that pack out is really important. Putting all the components in the box without following the schematic could yield temperature excursion. So our recommendation to you is if you are having excursions with your pack outs while testing, then please follow the schematic, review your pack out, audit your folks, your technicians on how they're packing these out. And that will usually find that there's an error in the pack out if you're getting excursions. Now, let's talk about when you're doing your testing. Testing isn't as difficult as people may think it is. We will teach your team how to do it, but couple very simple tips that Ron's going to share with you about when you do your testing, how to do that testing. And a common failure point to testing is one that a lot of people just don't understand. I'll touch a little bit more on that common failure point, but Ron, what are those 3 points that you want to talk to us about?
Well, the first thing is you want to strategically, choose your dates for testing. So if you could actually test at the dead heat of summer or the coldest winter, that would be great, because we find a lot of pharmacies testing during the shoulder seasons. And so they send out packages when it's warm one day, and then when they get delivered on the next day, it's really, really cold. And so a lot of pharmacies use dates as to when they change their cold to a hot pack out or hot to a cold. That would be the first issue. Second issue is we see a lot of pharmacies putting data loggers in the payload box. They're not using an actual payload where it would absorb the energy that's coming from the gel packs. And so a lot of times you're going to have a difficult time, getting an accurate reading for your payload.
All right, so let me amplify on some of the points that Ron talked about. When you're doing a test for your validation study, if you're on 5.0, that's going over to once a year, but you got to have a robust auditing program. So getting a data logger that's reusable, we recommend using the Onset 365. You can use it for a year. It's certified, validated, it's easy to use. Set up your tests as such, condition your test medication in a refrigerator, assure your medication is at 2 to 8 or at room temperature when you start this test. Ensure that your data logger is also at that temperature range in a refrigerator. If you're using a data logger and you have it set, remember, if you set that data logger on the counter, it's going to jump temperature within the 5-minute setting that you have. It could go 20 degrees higher than it actually is. Also remember that when you complete the pack out, everything that's in that cooler is going to do something that we call hibernate. Similar to your refrigerator, you close the door in the refrigerator, everything gets colder, you leave the door open, everything gets warmer. So when you use your gel packs, if they are not conditioned to the temperature range of 0 to 5, then that hibernation is going to make it go too cold initially. So what you'll see is a dip, and then you'll see it come back up to temperature where you want it to be. Secondly, payload. So when we talk about payload, it's a term that we use in the design of the boxes. So really what we mean is your medication. Assure your medication is appropriate for the box that you're using. For example, if you're using and I'll use an infusion bag as an example. If you're using a 250 ml infusion bag as your test subject medication, and you use it in a small cooler, you're going to have to increase the amount of infusion bags or syringes that you use in a larger cooler, because it would be too much energy. So ensure that your payload or your medication sample, saline, not water, saline, a vial, something that is similar to the medication you're using, is your payload. That is your test subject. Attach your data logger to that test subject and then commence your test. So key point is make sure your medication is conditioned in a refrigerator 2 to 8, your data logger in that refrigerator 2 to 8 or room temp depending on the test that you're doing. Pack out immediately with your data logger to start your test so you get all spikes, any jumps removed, and remember that it's going to hibernate once you put the lid back on it. So you need to ensure that your gel packs are at the proper condition. Ron?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
Okay. So, should you have any questions or you need help with your pack outs, please reach out to me, Orlando Vidal, or Ron Bashela at coldchaintechnologies.com, and they will connect you with us. Have a great day.
Thank you.